Hey everybody, I'm Becki Adams. Thank you for stopping by the Scrapbook and Cards Today YouTube channel. Today I'm creating a layout that is featured in the 2024 fall-winter issue of Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine, and I am using the Scary Stories collection by Simple Stories. It's a simple vintage collection, so it has a really fun vintage vibe in this collection. A lot of retro elements, really a cute collection. It's one of my favorite Halloween collections that has come out in the last few years. So I have two collection kits that I'm working with because there are a couple of pattern papers that I needed 2 sheets of to create a double page layout. Now you could easily switch those out for cardstock and just use the pattern paper and in one collection kit. So the first thing I do whenever I'm creating a double page layout, and this is totally personal preference, but again, it's up to you. I like to tape the 2 background pages together. I just like to work with one bigger cohesive canvas than 2 separate pages. So I just use some washi tape that I have laying around my office and tape those 2 pieces of paper together. I have a few layers of pattern paper that I want to use on this layout, and before I adhere those to the background, I went and did some stitching on my sewing machine, just using my sewing machine and some white thread, and then I am placing them on the background. So as I mentioned earlier, I did use 2 collection kits for this layout, but you could use one. And one of the ways you could do that, I have this striped paper that I'm layering a piece of black paper on. Instead of creating those layers, you could just cut 4 half-inch by 12-inch strips of that striped paper and use those across the top and the bottom of the black paper instead of using that other layer. It's totally personal preference, up to you. I love pattern paper, so I use as much of it as I can. But if you wanted to use cardstock, that's an option as well. So I have this really fun black kind of wood grain pattern paper that I'm using next. Again, I stitched across the top and the bottom of it with my sewing machine using some black thread. I did that beforehand for filming purposes so that I could have those pieces separate to show you how this layout comes together. But you could definitely assemble the background of your layout, get to the point where you have those 3 layers of pattern paper, you know, the background, the stripes, and then the wood grain. Adhere those all together and then put it through your sewing machine. The sewing machine and white thread are the best adhesive you'll ever find because it's really inexpensive and it will never come undone. Those papers will be stuck together forever. So if I was not doing this, you know, filming this video for you, showing you my process, that's how I would have done it, so I could take advantage of using that sewing machine and white thread to stitch those papers together. But I am using a tape runner from scrapbook.com. I really love their tape runners. They're affordable and really easy to refill. So now that I have my background together, you can see my pages will still come apart really easily. I've got that seam in the middle, but I'm just working with one large canvas. So I have 4 4x6 photos that I have printed to use on this layout of my cute nieces and nephews during Halloween next year. Sadly, my kids are old enough that they don't dress up for Halloween, but I love getting photos from of my nieces and nephews. It's such a fun day for little kids. So I'm adhering those photos. The 2 photos on the right are will be on the right page in the 2-page spread, and then the photo on the left will be on the left layout. But once I have my photos in place, then I want to make sure that I add my 2 other most important elements to the page for me, and that's title and journaling. So I have my journaling printed out. I printed that just at home on white printer paper, nothing special. I use the American typewriter font. I printed my journaling out, and then I cut it into strips with my paper trimmer and put 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape on the back. And you'll see that here in just a minute when I go to add those strips to actually adhere those to the page. So I want my title on the left-hand page to the left of the photos. And I believe it's a combination of chipboard and foam stickers that I'm creating the title with. The title will be Spooky Halloween. To kind of ground that left side of the page, I have a couple of tags that I'm going to use up at the top. And then over on the right, I'm just playing with some chipboard embellishments and some die cuts. I think the chipboard frames are so cute in this collection, and it didn't fit my journaling super well, but I still wanted to use one of those chipboard frames as my embellishment. So when I'm using chipboard, I often will peel off, if it has an adhesive backing, I will often peel off that adhesive backing so that I can play with it and see exactly where I want the title to go. And then I add just liquid adhesive to the back. I find that that liquid adhesive does a better job of adhering the chipboard to the layout anyway. So that's one tip. It's just, if you're finding that adhesive chipboard is kind of frustrating, that's one way that I still use it, but without having the frustration of it not sticking or sticking too soon. So I have this Halloween foam sticker, and because I have that spooky chipboard that's under, I just put my hole punch on top of that to kind of hold it in place while the adhesive dries. I'll move that in just a minute, but I have the Halloween that I want to go right under the word spooky, but I want it to kind of overlap. So even though it's a foam sticker that has really good adhesive, I'm just moving ahead and putting some foam adhesive on the bottom there so that I can layer it with that chipboard. So again, I'm using some liquid adhesive to adhere this chipboard frame. The chipboard frames do not come with adhesive already on them, which is really nice, so that you have you can adhere your photos or journaling or even just embellishments like I'm doing, however you'd like. So I'm just putting that in place and making sure that I have that exactly where I want it. It is overlapping the edge of that layout just a little bit. I'll have to trim that off when I go to put it in a page protector. And again, I'm just putting something heavy that's sitting on my desk, so that wooden spool that holds my crochet thread. I'm just putting that on top of it to just hold it in place while the adhesive dries. And then again, I'm using adhesive foam squares from Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L to place these cute little bat die cuts. I use a liquid adhesive in the middle of the bat and then pop up the edges of the wings so it kind of looks like the bat is flying. That's a fun technique to just give a little bit of dimension to like bats or butterflies, birds, kind of things that fly, I guess. So I have, I believe, 2 or 3 little bats that I'm putting just there at the bottom right of the layout. I'm kind of creating a diagonal design that goes from the top of the left-hand page across the page and down to the bottom right side of the right page. And you'll see more what I mean here when I get more of the embellishing done. But I have this really cute, it's just a die cut that's a banner shape, and I'm using foam adhesive squares, again from Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L, to attach those and kind of join my photos into the embellishment cluster to make everything flow really nicely across the edge of the page. So I'll just remove the backing of those and place that little die cut. I want it kind of just around the corner of my photo there on the right hand side. And now that that one side is, the chipboard frame is dry now, I'm using that fun ghost die cut that I got from one of the die cut packs, and I'm trimming off just that bottom piece because I kind of wanted it to look like the ghost is coming out of the frame, but I wanted to make sure it was cut off straight so that it fit right up against the frame. And then I'll use a little bit of foam adhesive just there on the head and the hands of the ghost so that it kind of pops out of the frame. So once I have that adhesive backing removed, we'll just tuck that right in and put that cute little ghost there coming out of the frame. And now that I've let that chipboard title stick down with the liquid adhesive and dry a little bit, I'm going to layer that top, the bottom word, the foam sticker that says Halloween on the bottom. And I'm just going to remove the backing of the adhesive that I put on previously. And then the top of the word will stick on the chipboard. And then that adhesive, the foam adhesive, will stick along the bottom. And I think that's so cute, a fun way to add a lot of texture and dimension to your title. One of my favorite elements in this collection is this cute skeleton. You'll see him throughout the collection on, the chipboard and die cuts and the sticker sheet. And I just think he's so cute. So I just adding a little bit of foam adhesive because, again, he's going to slightly overlap the title, and I want him to be kind of layered on top of that title. So we'll just put those last little bits. I took those foam squares were a little bigger than what I need to adhere this skinny little skeleton. So I just used some scissors to cut those squares into smaller pieces, and it works perfectly. I do have just one pair of scissors that I set aside that I use for all of my adhesive so I don't gum up all of my scissors. And then we'll go ahead and remove the backing on this skeleton and get him right there in place to the left of the title. It's one of my very favorite parts of this page. So again, I've got my journaling there. I haven't adhered it yet, but I want to make sure to keep it in place so that I don't accidentally get carried away with my embellishing and cover up the spot that I have saved for the journaling. It's a really cute story. My two nephews were Maverick and Goose from the movie Top Gun for Halloween, and my older nephew found a Bluetooth speaker and he played the Top Gun soundtrack on that speaker and put it in his trick-or-treat bag because he was positive that if he had some music playing that he was going to get more candy. Anyway, that just kind of sums up that little bit of journaling on that page. It was such a fun story. I want to make sure and get that added in. So here's some photos of the final layout with everything complete and my journaling in place. I just added a few of those paper fans at the top and the right side of my layout. So thank you so much for stopping by. Make sure and check out the new issue, and we'll see you again soon.